o'clock, so we going to call this meeting of the Airport Industrial Park Advisory Commission to order. Let's stand and give the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Janie, could you take roll, please?
Dave Spoker,
Present.
Tom Beller,
Present.
Paul Gaines,
Here.
Tim Gerlach, Brandon Laumeister. We see your name up there, Brandon. James Lorimer, John Stutzman,
Here.
and we have a quorum.
Okay. We've got the minutes from the August 26th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to review them? Is there a motion to accept those? Or are there any changes that anybody needs to make?
Make a motion to accept as presented.
We've got a motion to accept the minutes as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
There's Brandon now.
That was a late eye, I think.
Yeah. Was that a late aye, Brandon?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, motion carries unanimously. Did anybody from the public say they wanted to address the commission, Janie?
We had no requests.
No requests? Okay, then let's move on to new business. We've got a vacancy of the FedEx office in the terminal. And I believe you've got something to say about that, Doug.
Yes, sir, I do. Chair Aaron Swoker, commissioners, we recently had FedEx, and I'm going to bring this up, that vacated their office space. They had an office space inside the terminal building, right adjacent to, it's going to let me hit the slide. There's slide, so right adjacent to the pilot's lounge. They recently vacated it, and now we have an open office space. And what we're trying to look for is some ideas, what we can convert that to or remodel it. So we decided to go ahead and show you guys some pictures. It's about 150 square feet of office space that was used for a ground storage and sorting facility right before transport. The first picture right here is standing at the main door, the door that's right next to our air traffic control tower, looking back towards the kind of the pilot's lounge. The drafting room is on the opposite side of that corkboard. In there is, right now, is just basically some old electric items that they have left over that's no longer in use, and our grounding plate for the building, but we are getting estimates on what it'll cost to move the grounding plate out of that office and have it go directly into the ground outside of the building. The next picture is basically standing at the corkboard, looking back. As you see the door off to the left, that goes outside, and then there's a hallway off to the right. And that hallway goes right down and makes another access point into our terminal public area. So here's kind of my little mock-up or drawing to kind of give you a little bit of an idea of the office space. 163 square feet. It is outlined in red. The pilot's lounge is located just adjacent to it, and the pilot's lounge extension with the drafting table is just on the other side of the wall. So what we're really trying to look for is multiple recommendations here. We're going to get some estimates for next year to address this.
I have a question,
Yes, sir.
real quick, Doug, sorry. Which door of those is the outside door going from the pilot's lounge to outside to the back area? Is that it right there?
This one right here.
Got it. I had no idea there was an extension back there. I didn't even know that, so, thank you.
So we're looking for multiple options to go out there and just take a look, and this could just be adding this piece to the terminal building, the public area, could be extending the pilot's lounge, could be reserving it as an office space for a future long-term tenant, or look at a recommendation for doing smaller, short-term leases.
Is it on its own power or meter, electric meter?
We're still trying to chase down all the meters in that building. It's very old building, and we have about 3 meters that go to the building. We've chased down one of the meters and recognized that goes to the restaurant, and we're still trying to figure out where the other meters go at this time.
So does it have its own thermostat and HVAC system?
It is a window unit.
Okay.
We did upgrade the our HVAC system about 2 years ago, and it is connected into that room, but for some reason why they have an additional window unit installed.
So the current new system would probably work in there, it'd be sufficient enough?
Yes,
Once the window unit was taken out or whatever. Was that the space that was, or was the pilot's lounge a space that was the car rental facility years ago, or do you know which one was?
I do not remember. All that I know is that I believe it was actually 2 separate offices at one point. The pilot's lounge kind of, there was a wall that came out from this end and went here, and when they remodeled it, they removed this door up here, removed that wall, and then that's how we got the pilot's lounge to this day.
It did used to be car rental. Hertz was in there for a while.
Has anybody, has there been a lot of people that have called you about car rental? I know we can't control, shall we say, car rental companies to come in there, but people have contacted us on the airport and other people about car rental facilities on the airport. I'm sure it wouldn't be big right now, but maybe in the future, hopefully.
Yeah, right now, I want to say probably in a given year, I get 3 requests for asking about car rental. A lot of the pilots who do rent cars and so forth, they work through the FBO, and the FBO gets the car rental for them.
Okay. Have you had any thoughts on it for this space yourself, or has anybody come up with any great ideas so far?
I know some of our commissioners have, and I was going to let them voice their in here. But from my
I have a
standpoint, is I mean, there's so many ways we could take this.
Yeah.
And there could be somewhere that we left out in our thinking process, and we are going to reach out and see what. With taking this, we're going to take multiple options and get multiple quotes for remodeling or upgrading the system, or figure out what's low-bearing wall, what's not, remove those walls. So we're just trying to be as open as possible and figuring out what the commission, multiple ideas that come from the commission.
Do you have a thought, David?
Yeah, I've been to probably 100 different pilots' lounges over my flying career, and some of them have an area where it's possible to take a little nap if you're on a long cross-country flight and you are getting tired. We could put, you mentioned a lazy boy. I don't know that we want to push any particular brand, but we could put something in there that would be accommodating to taking a nap. That would not be real expensive. And I've spent many a night in pilots' lounges, sleeping on a sofa. So that would be my suggestion, that we could get a sofa that's long enough that you could stretch out and take a nap. And it wouldn't be expensive at all. we'd need to do a little bit of, the room is not attractive as it is. But if we put a TV in there, there really isn't any spot in the primary pilot's lounge for a television. But if we put a TV and a extended sofa in there, and then if we came up with something else later on, we wouldn't have a whole lot of expense invested in making it part of the pilot's lounge. I don't know how many businesses are gonna want a total of 163 square feet. But I think that would be beneficial. That's my thoughts.
And I think with the future development on the other side, the vacant land, and then with the TI starting to build out now, that there might be some businesses that want an executive suite short-term, by the week, by the month.
Is it something you're looking for to get rent from necessarily, or if, let's say, the I think a pilot's lounge or a little bit extended some would be kind of okay too, but is it something you're really looking for as far as if you had the option to make a few bucks from it a month, would that be preferable for the management, or are you guys looking for our direction really?
Well, it's fairly rare when we get requests for short-term office space, training. Like one issue where in a while back when we had a flight school that was here before Shabley arrived, we were struggling because in the requirements was they need about 100 square feet of at least office space to function. So we were struggling to try to find one of those spaces. But that was the only circumstance where we had somebody requesting additional office space.
Kathy.
Say again?
That was Kathy.
Kathy, well, yeah, that's right, okay. Is this door, the red door on the bottom line there, is that accessible now with a keypad, like, because we know the keypad code, can we get in there and look at that on our leisure?
That could be, well, it's
Or
not
it's
accessible by
gonna be, I
keypad
guess.
right now.
Okay.
I'm gonna be honest with you, but if you guys just, give us heads up, we'll be able to open the
Okay.
door and let you.
I'd like to come in there and look at the space and just kind of feel it a little bit and see size-wise. I know there's dimensions there, not dimensions, but total square footage. I like to kind of see how it feels,
The,
if you will.
the hallway, excuse me, the hallway is just a little bit wider than, it's not as wide as the hallway to get in here. It's maybe 6 feet wide at the most.
Yeah. I would love to park some, if it were a pilot's lounge or something along those lines, I would like to park some really cool prints or some artifacts and things on the walls, more museum-oriented stuff for future kind of interest and that kind of thing. We've got some really neat prints and stuff that could go up in there
Yeah.
that they're already around, but really more specific to Kingman and the Kingman Historic Airport, that kind of thing. I think it'd be really nice in there if we go that direction. Even if we don't, the hallway would, just walls, so it would be good to have some stuff there that's really appropriate, I think.
One thing we need to figure out is if that wall is weight-bearing. If either one of those walls are weight-bearing, you really can't remove them.
If I had to take an educated guess right now, it's not 100% sure, but we are gonna find out. Apologizes. This came up relatively quick when they moved out. We're trying to get a situation of what to do, such as budget-wise for this. But due to how the building is structured, I don't think it is.
Because the rest of it's not,
guess.
right?
Yeah,
The other parts.
yeah.
I don't think it is either, but that's certainly something you want to make sure of.
And would certainly open up the space, although it would be, we're really going down the rabbit hole here, but if it's the one part of the pilot's lounge that's already kind of a briefing, if you will, people go in there and talk about their flights and stuff, and then that side could be a little bit more isolated if someone was trying to crash for 20 or 30 minutes or a handful of hours or something. They wouldn't be necessarily disturbed by the other people. I don't know, this is an interesting idea that's be thrown towards us, so now I'm really thinking about it.
And if it makes you feel better, the other door this door right here is about a good quarter size larger than your standard door. So
Okay.
UPS did that, or FedEx did that to get their equipment and their packages in, so forth. So, it's, even though the other door may be a little bit small hallway, that one's fairly large.
Right.
That could be used more than just pedestrian.
Is that on the right-hand side, the right-hand picture, is that a breaker panel or something?
It's a phone room. It was a phone panel.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right. Okay. I'd like to go check it out. I'll let you know. I'd like to go walk through it.
Why don't we table it until the next meeting, and everybody that wants to can be in touch, and you can let them all look at it. I've looked at it.
Is the flooring okay? Did they redo that floor? It looks like it,
It's ugly.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So probably needs that too.
What I may end up doing is budgeting for something that's a little bit higher end. So if we decide not to remove a wall and keep it separate to where we have that flexibility for office space, we could still do that. Or if the commission comes back at a later date and says, no, we do want to remove the wall,
Right.
then we'll have that option. We'll have that budgeted, but we'll keep it. We'll budget for the higher end, and then if need be, the commission deems it necessary, we could table this and bring it back.
Curiously, how much was FedEx paying in rent for that room?
I can't provide an answer on that right now.
No.
I cannot remember.
No clue.
Yeah, it's just left my brain. I'm gonna be honest with you. I remembered it about 3 months ago, but at this present time,
You've
it's
slept
just left.
since then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we need a motion to decide to table this?
I believe so.
I think we do, yeah.
I make a motion to table this until hopefully next meeting.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded that we table this until the next meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'm sorry, I should have asked Brandon and John if they had anything on that to talk about. Did either one of you want to chime in on that conversation?
No, I'll come out and look at it in person here the next week or so.
Okay. Thanks, John. Brandon?
This is Jim Lormery. I'm also on the line.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Jim did,
I've seen it in person. It's not very big, so
no, it's pretty small. Okay, we've tabled it. And welcome aboard, Jim. Let's move on to reports. Airport staff?
Chair Amsbooker, if I may, can we see if economic development would like to go first?
Sure.
Because that's pretty lengthy, and I want to avoid her going to sleep at the table.
That's fine.
Good afternoon, Chairman Amspoker and Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here today. Just have a few updates. USDA, I know that Doug was able to give you a few of these updates last month, but I'm going to give you just a few more details to some of them. We worked with city staff and was awarded the USDA Rural Business Development Grant. With that, we were getting two different things paid for. One was the market feasibility study for the city to see what kind of event center, sporting center, or recreation center facility would be best supported here in Kingman. They decided on a consultant, and that was approved at last week's city council meeting. And it is Conventions, Sporting, and Leisure International that won the bid. and we will be getting started with them to get that process going. The other program that was going to be financed with that is for the economic development strategic plan being updated. We had originally one that was formulated, I believe, in 2018. It was for a 5-year plan, and we've obviously it was formalized in 2019. So we've run that 5-year plan out. We had some updates with our advisory commission, and those things have been implemented. We accomplished most everything on our strategic plan. So we're getting ready to enact a new one, and we've gone out to bid for that. The bid closes on December 26th, and we'll be going from there to choose the consultant, evaluating the proposals and everything like that. The other thing that we had is we did the Arizona Association for Economic Development Fall Forum. We only had one of our staff members attend at that, and that was Sylvia Schaefer. But we did win an award for one of the best projects, which was our downtown streetscape. It took home one of the top prizes for that, or acknowledgement awards for that. The I-40 Tradeport Corridor Summit was held in October in New Mexico. We had, I believe, 3 or 4 council members, and economic development staff. Bennett was there, Tina Moline, Tim Walsh also went along with that, and there was a lot of information that was provided about the support that we're getting from New Mexico, the quality. Smiley could probably tell you a little bit better because he was there and I was not. But all in all, it was very informative to everybody who went. And as council members, my understanding is that it gave them a little bit better understanding of where the I-40 Tradeport Corridor is heading, which we believe is going to kind of sort of be taking more of a focus on the economic development side of things in the future. Mojave County Economic Development is in the process of doing monthly meetings. They received a grant from the Good Jobs Network, and they've been working with the industrial park manufacturers out there to see how they can accommodate, help growing their staff and getting their employees grounded in a way that they have good stability and they retain those good workers and then build them up for future development and growth. So they've been working with them on those things and also seeing what programs they can put together for the future for safety or for just annual certifications that you have to have for different divisions within each employer's little realm of who they are and what they're doing. There's annual certifications for safety, and for some reason right now at the moment I can't remember, so I apologize for that. Manufacturing Day, CAMA, they put that on, and it was held on November 18th, I want to say. There was approximately 9 businesses that were a part of that, 99 students that attended. It went really, really well. They were very excited about getting to know what was out there as far as manufacturing goes. Strawbees was participated in that too. So we did have bracket aero filters. So there was a good representation from the aeronautical side as well as the industrial park. As far as that goes, that is all I have to provide for you right at the moment. Do you have any questions for me?
I have just a basic question. With this I-40 corridor project, I assume Kingdom is on the forefront. They're one of the big pieces of this puzzle still, right? They're on the radar with all this, continuing to have kind of a spotlight on what we can contribute to this. Is that true?
It is very true, and it's a very integral part of all this. There's still conversations that are happening of exactly where the location for the truck mobility complex is going to go, but the conversations are happening. So that hasn't been nailed down yet. For us, it was very exciting to attend the groundbreaking for the the Rancho Santa Fe traffic
Yeah, I
interchange
was there
last
too. I
week.
did not want to miss that.
It was
It's been such
fabulous.
decades in the waiting. I really
Yep.
did not want to miss that, so it was good.
Yeah, it was very, very.
I know I saw Doug there, and of course, yeah, everybody, yeah.
It was
So,
fun, wasn't it?
Yes, yep.
So, anything else? Those of you online, anything? All right. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to the airport staff report.
And I want to say about the Rancho Santa Fe groundbreaking, I was very impressed how many members of the community turned out for that. I was very impressed by that.
It was, it's really kind of neat to sit there where that's going to be built, and you can, off in the distance, you can see the industrial park. You know, there it is, just waiting for a road to go all the way out there. So,
It does more than just help out the airport. It helps out the development along the Rancho Santa Fe, including the residents to the south. So
Yep.
it's really needed. Well, give you guys a little bit of update on the airport development. We're sharing comments back and forth with agreement with the developers at this time. We have about 60% of the airport or the new hangar layout plan developed. Once we have that, there's a chance we could be hosting, and we'll keep you guys in the loop, a special meeting in January, because one of your responsibilities is maintaining the airport master plan and the airport layout, so that will have to come in front of the commission. We have this southern section right down here was the most updated map, and we had to make a request to remove a taxi lane in that area because it would have really hampered the amount of access and what you can do on the ramp. And we did make a request to push a lot of the hangars south because they had the hangars a little bit too close to taxiway Bravo, and with Bravo being there, they wouldn't be able to park their aircraft outside their hangar. So we've asked them to make some more adjustments. We also made adjustment requests with what they're proposing is building a new taxi lane or taxiway to access the southern section of that property. We're in discussions about making it strictly a taxi lane or keeping it as a ramp, so they'll have more stuff they could do on there, and we won't run across the problem with or reduce the risk of vehicles traveling on that taxiway. So it's we're kind of weighing the pros, cons with that. Staff has also, we've worked with our consultant, Kaufman Associates, to get estimates out there for the developer for the airport layout plan update, the cost of that, the environmental assessment, because these hangars are going to be so large. It's going to be such a large construction. We're imagining the FAA, once we do submit that. Unfortunately, we've heard enough horror stories of the FAA, but a new rule came out to where before you do any of these activities, you must submit a Section 743, which from there, then they come back and they tell you what the environmental is going to be. If that's the case, these hangars are probably going to end up being an environmental assessment. The storage, which is going to discussions on this side, that's going to require a moving of the fence, and the storage is probably just going to end up being a category exclusion, which is very much a simpler document that takes about 30 to 60 days for review, and then we can move forward.
so, Manager Breckenridge, does that mean more or less all these airplanes that are stored now on the south side will be moved over there? Is that more or less the big picture plan?
Yes,
Okay.
those tenants are going to have to move their aircraft over there.
Yep.
We are even have a discussion moving the fence further out, should they not wish to work with the developer on that. But the airport in the city right now cannot afford to ground harden that, so it will be up to them to ground harden that area.
What, would they need to, if they're building the hangars, wouldn't they need to get the environmental assessment?
They will be funding it.
They would be. Good.
We will play a massive part because it is ultimately the city's property. The city is the sponsor of the airport and the owner of the airport.
Correct.
So it's going to be kind of a tag team where we're going to be very much a part of it. And I'll tell you this, right now, me and my boss, Jack Plonte, we're probably experts on environmental assessments after working on this for nearly 4 years.
So this is a new regulation or new law or new guidance that they came up with above and beyond all their regular other environmental things that are already exist?
Well, it originally started off as a 163, and then something happened. They changed it to a 743. I believe that's what it is, 743, 734. And what it is just making sure that the airports or the businesses are not creating an environmental hazard on the airport.
Okay.
And it uses, what environmental assessments do is also do compound. So we not only monitor the disturbances created at the airport, its effects on the environment, but also what other, like Rancho Santa Fe, the construction of that, we'll mention that into the environmental assessment. So when they view it, they'll know, hey, there's dust disturbances down here during the building of the road. There's dust disturbance up here at the airport when these hangars are going under construction.
Okay.
Well, also, the new federal administration is looking at doing away with a lot of what they think might be paperwork that slows things down. So this might not occur? Or do you think this is something that will stay?
Give me 1 second, let me get this. I don't know what the new administration is going to do. We have heard voices with other companies regarding environmental assessment and the process, but no, we don't know which way, if they're going to streamline it, they're going to make an adjustment. We do not know at this time. And it's probably going to be a little while before we know, because these guidance take some time to write, and for the FAA and other departments, especially Department of Transportation, so impacted by this. We just don't know.
It also seems to me that, I mean, this is moving forward, so they're probably going to end up doing it regardless before anything may or may not change in this upcoming administration. I would just guessing. It's probably going to happen anyway.
Yeah, I mean, well, with this is aeronautical, and this is FAA's. This is what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to promote these items. They're supposed to get them moving. Mm-hmm. So unlike the rent, land, and release, we see this moving forward far quicker, just due to the fact that is what the FAA specialty is,
right,
is environmental assessments for aeronautical development.
Right.
Any
I guess
other
it
questions?
just boils down to how fast the powers that be in the federal government decide to streamline things.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be, it's still going to be a process. The goal with environmental assessments is to get them done in 1 year when they start, if there's no hiccups. But with this, we really don't see anything that could come out of left field and blindside us on this one. Right. We've already been keeping the FAA and ADOT in the loop on this. So they are aware it's coming down the pipeline. FAA may be coming out to visit us in January. We have not set a date yet. They brought that up because they want to take a look at the land release area and then also take a look at this proposed development. So they are aware of that. Kingman is very much growing, and the airport's growing along with it.
This middle yellow block, unless you haven't gotten there yet, what is that? You may be coming up.
This one right here, this is kind of a mixture right now. It's going to be probably one of the last areas phased to develop. We do have proposed hangars going out there along with a mix of aircraft storage. But as we work with our developers and bring in other businesses, that area could change. It could turn into another maintenance, repair, and operations facility. It could turn into Department of Defense subcontractors. It's just so much further down the line. Or it could even turn into cargo. It's just so much further down the line. Right now, we're trying to develop, and they're trying to get tenants in this area, which they do have several tenants. I cannot say their name due to confidentiality, but they are already finding tenants for these larger hangars.
Can you tell us what type of business it is? Because we really need an avionics shop.
I've mentioned it to them. To my knowledge, we don't have any avionics shop at this time. But with all these other businesses coming in, just like any other type of city, you want an anchor store.
Sure.
And that's what they're trying to get. They're trying to get that anchor store in there, and that assists with bringing in other businesses that have a niche that those larger companies do not have.
When an avionics shop does call, make sure you wine and dine them correctly. So, a while back there was talk across where that middle yellow block is about having heavier, if there were going to be ever commercial traffic. This is way down the road. If there were going to be bigger development for commercial jet service, I don't know when or how, but it would be in that area there, and all the smaller general aviation stuff would be where we all are right now. Is that kind of ever come up as a...
In the ALP we have in there, we do have that as, it just says proposed possible terminal location.
Okay, like
But
a new
also
bigger
in
terminal.
ALP,
Yeah.
right next to us, where the airport admin building has also been kind of labeled as a terminal location.
Okay.
And then we do have additional space off to the side, so that has not left us, left our mind, and I'm kind of happy you brought that up, because it kind of ties in this development, because I do speak to them on this.
Okay.
Is advanced air mobility, the electric aircraft, Joby Aviation, Beta, I think the other group's called Aero. There's another group out there. We're keeping an eye on those aircraft, and about a year ago, I went to a FAA meeting, and they're describing how the FAA actually sees those services. And they see those services really designed for communities like ours. So if you want to sit back and you want to hop on a larger aircraft in Las Vegas, you could call up one of these electric aircraft. They'll land here. You hop on that aircraft with your luggage and your family, and then they'll fly you and drop you off right next to the terminal building at Las Vegas Harry Reid, or down in Phoenix. So we're seeing some of those aircraft, they have them marked up for having a range of 347 miles, which covers a good bit of ours. Some of these companies are slowly, one of them is slowly spreading west. And we see that quite possibly being what service our community in the future. And I've been kind of pushing that with the developers, and then even with our FBO a little bit, of saying be aware of this, because I see that's going to be what services our community, get us linked into the aerospace system instead of have to drive all the way to Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the development?
No. Do any of the people online have any questions? Apparently not.
Okay, RFP 24-002. That was, if everybody can remember, the Mojave County Sheriff's Department has had a large area locked down to where we could not develop it. Well, when we hired our leasing coordinator, Tracy, she went really going through every single file, and then she found an obscured legal document signed by the county and the airport authority at the time to split that property. So that property became open for leasing. In the meantime, we had a tenant, or not really a tenant, but one of our industrial park members that reached out to us and said they would like to build a hangar. So we went through, we published the RFP. that company was the only one that submitted a proposal. And we notified them last week that we're going to be reaching out to them for lease negotiations. I can't go into too much of what type of hangar they want to build because that RFP has not been released, but it is going to be a hangar, what they're projecting with pilot's lounge, kitchen, and smaller little bit of office space. Okay, for airport and maintenance projects, we had the bid opening for taxiway Bravo last week. We're going to be submitting a letter to ADOT for recommendation. I can't say it just yet. Recommendation for selecting the lowest bid contractor that apparently has all the information supplied it to us. We're hoping to start milling in late winter, and then start paving as soon as the very beginning of spring hits, because you want the temperature to be 40 degrees and rising when you place asphalt.
Remind me again, Doug, is this going to be the full length of Bravo or half of Bravo right now?
This is going to be the full length.
Nice.
Yeah. When we originally did, the odd thing was when we did the original grant funding for this was right before COVID when we sent out the application. And then everybody knows what happened right after COVID. Prices for everything shot through the roof. So we took a look at that area. We determined that we could scale back the amount of asphalt to get us back under the estimated cost, because it just went well above the $2.45 million to accommodate for MD-80s, which are not going to be used in that taxiway. So they did a redesign. Once the redesign was done, the Dross project kicked off. We wanted to get the Dross project done, so we held on to this one. And we had a few other minor little bit redesigns based upon what the Dross project, how it impacted that taxiway. And now this one is moving forward.
This will be heavy enough for whatever jets the potential people will be using.
Yes, sir.
Off of my end down there.
It's still designed for regional jets and large corporate business jets.
Okay.
I know we got the money before, for one half of Bravo before COVID. I believe there's a time limit on when you have to spend it by. Are we running out of time?
No, we just worked with ADOT, sir, to get that grant extended.
We did.
So it is extended out, sir.
Good, good. What's about, I know we had to reduce the weight limit. What's the new weight limit gonna be?
How could I say the proposal, the weight limit, it's gonna be what taxiway Delta is. It's gonna be for regional jets.
Yeah.
You really don't know till you actually put down the asphalt and you do the sampling and so forth, then you could come back with the proposed. But it's not gonna impact those operations.
Do you have an estimated weight?
I cannot provide that.
You can't?
I cannot provide that now. But even if we did that full size for, let's say, MD-80s and those larger jets, the associated ramps will not hold up to those jets. So reality, bringing something up that high really made no logical sense, because the only place they could go is the tear down areas, and that's it. And the tear down area is about to go away. And the associated proposed hangars along taxiway Bravo are pretty much designed for something about the size of a Gulfstream 5. Maybe a regional jet, but nothing too much bigger. All the larger stuff is going to be pushed south of that for the proposed development.
So CRJs could still go down? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Sorry to continue going the rabbit hole, but what is our capacity of the runway itself? Can it handle, pick a jet that we might know? Do you happen to know?
That's kind of interesting. It's
Okay.
no longer based upon the weight of the aircraft.
Okay.
It's based upon the landing gear configuration.
Sure, it's like pounds per square inch as opposed to overall weight.
So with that, we found out that we could handle a lot more 737 traffic. Mm-hmm. We found out that we could fit a more minimal amount of 757 traffic. So we could handle a lot more than what was originally anticipated.
Okay.
So we're seeing that big uptick. Granted, we're not where we want it to be, because if you factor everything in, you're only looking at about 757 operations annually. If we remove our operations for, let's say, DC-8s and tone that down, but we've left that in there because we do get a little bit more DC-8 operations and 757 operations, we could definitely increase that amount. So we are in a very good position from that point for when this development kicks off. They could bring in larger aircraft, and they could entice much larger businesses to come in.
Okay.
And then also give you an idea, for the longest period of time, we never thought we could handle C-130s, and we can. Minimum amount, around 18, 20 operations if they're fully loaded, taking off. Yeah, that's if they're fully loaded. And we're not going to do this, but we could handle about 3 C-17 operations annually.
They have been in the airport before. I've seen a couple operations there, but not consistently. But it has happened.
Yeah, they can land there, but I probably would not recommend, or can't tell them not to, but I'll probably sit back and say, please don't go over, land light, land during the cold winter, not in the middle of burning heat sun, because the last thing we want is those large aircraft to make a turn and run up the runway. Draws project. About 3 months ago, we received a list of questions from DEQ regarding our closeout documentation. A couple of weeks back, we answered those questions, submitted that to ADEQ. If ADEQ is fine with it, then we'll officially start closing out the project, and it will be done. Out of it, we're probably estimating at this time, after $2 million goes to the attorneys, we get 60% of the remaining, so we're looking at a little over $1 million coming back to the airport, and it will stay with the airport. That's what we're kind of looking at this time. Terminal renovation window replacement. We replaced all the windows at the airport terminal, so now it's not, when you're sitting there eating, you're not burning up. And it's also a little bit friendly on our electric bill. So that is done. The master drainage study, with the drainage study of the future industrial park, for the most part done. We're starting to move forward with this. We're anticipating the first draft, or our current drainage scenario documents coming to us, studies coming to us in January, with everything in the proposed future around the beginning of March, and we could wrap that project up. Taxiway Delta, we had the 30% design meeting with ADOT a few months back. We're still making some changes to that document. One of those changes is going to be some drainage on the airfield. So they're currently working on finding a new place for a catch basin that will collect all the water just south of the runway intersections and Taxiway Delta. Runway closure boxes. Anticipated expected delivery to begin, tomorrow? So we're gonna get 2 in. It's coming I believe it's coming all the way from Florida. Airport admin and terminal landscaping.
Those are the boxes you can just tow out and behind
We
it.
could just tow them out, put them
and
up, they
fire 'em up.
flash.
Yeah.
So they provide that safety at night.
Are they solar charged or whatever during the day, or how does it?
No, it's gonna be generator.
Oh, generator.
And we
okay.
requested generator 2 should our maintenance staff need that portable generator to run some of their tools or other lights during construction projects. So we could use it for more than just closing down the runway. We could use it for routine maintenance. And then also you could flip a switch. It'll stop blinking. It'll just shine directly. So if there's any type of night work, we could use that as a floodlight.
Oh, good.
Airport admin and terminal landscaping. As you are aware, that last year we completed the landscaping on the backside of the terminal building. Well, looking at our admin building, a lot of people don't realize that our self-fuel farm is right there, self-serve fuel farm, and we do have a lot of pilots that just make their way over the admin building It's really not that big of a nuisance. I kind of enjoy it because I get to meet people, discuss, and figure out where their business is, where they're going, what's going on at other airports, and just get an idea of who our transient pilots are and why they're picking Kingman. So with that being said, we're not happy with the way our backside of our airport admin building looked. And then we also had some drainage problems in the airport admin building. When it rained, the water will come off the roof of the airport admin building. It couldn't make its way to the actual drain, so it backed up into my office and some other people's offices. So we're just gonna make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, resolve drainage, and then at the same time, we're just gonna do not much sprucing up of right in front of the terminal building, the actual public side. Total cost of that project came in around $34,000.
There's another reason pilots stop in Kingman. We are currently less expensive for fuel than both Bullhead and Lake Havasu. The only airport in Mojave County with a lower fuel price is Sun Valley, and their runway's only, 3,000 feet, 3,200?
And it's not very wide.
And it's only like 40 feet wide, so you're not gonna find a lot of people wanting to go in there. And we're at least 50, 60 cents cheaper a gallon, which I think is bringing in more pilots.
It is. When we get to the fuel reports, you'll definitely see the increase.
Yeah.
And that's kind of rare that we're
Yeah,
cheaper than
yeah, that's actually a reversal, because it didn't used to be that way.
Well, we're starting to see a little bit more business jets coming in. We're seeing
Yeah.
a lot more general aviation aircraft, but we are seeing more business jets come in.
And that's
and
all
use our
because of the
facility.
price.
So,
Pappies
Pappies.
would be nice to have.
Well, we went through the 30% plan design last week with our engineers. We are trying to, there is one of the Pappies, you know what, yeah, our IT department's probably not gonna like this, but I think if we actually show you guys this, it will be a little bit easier to understand. Apologize. For this, let me move this over. Online, can you see the Google Earth map?
That's negative.
Okay, let me try this. Up, share. Okay, how about now?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, on runway 3, set of Pappies right here, we have something called a power control unit box. And it was recently, over the past year or so, they came back and they said the power control unit box cannot be inside of the runway object-free area. And our runway object-free area is around 250 feet from the center line. So we're gonna have to push it out, but we can't push it out too much further or it goes into the taxiway object-free area. So our engineers are working on a way to where we can accommodate pushing it out instead of moving all the taxiway, instead of moving the Pappies on the opposite end of the runway on the other side, because that is the primary pilot and command's position. So we're working to try to find a resolution to leaving that PCU there or leaving those Pappies on that side of the airfield.
Can you leave the Pappies until we have the solution? Because currently we don't have any.
Oh, no, the Pappies are still there.
Well, I landed, when you and I landed, we weren't able to see them. When I landed on Thanksgiving afternoon,
In other words, they're not functioning is what you're saying.
yeah, they weren't functioning.
Yeah, that's the
And
thing
I landed
where,
on 2-1.
yeah, that right there, that's Pappies, they went out when the FAA came flying through.
Yeah.
And it's, for us to be able to activate them, we have to hire that group and they have to come back in and bless it to turn it back on.
I know.
So we're trying to push, it'll probably be a little bit quicker to get done with the taxiway or with the PAPI design and get that out on the street than it is trying to schedule those guys, because it could last they could be anywhere from 3 months out to several months out in advance.
But that's a safety issue. And I don't understand why the FAA won't let you turn them on when something is better than nothing.
Our operations and maintenance staff listens to the CTAF frequency, and when they hear one of those aircraft that come in with the November and just 2 digits behind its name, they're trying to get them to say, hey, can you take a look at these, let us flip on the PAPIs and let us turn it on and get it blessed by you guys for the glide slope.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate because they do randomly pick airports and they don't give them heads up. Like at the time when this occurred, if our staff was given heads up, they'll come out here, they would have been right there on the spot. And if they say it's below or above grade, they would instantly adjust it and receive the blessing, and we would not have been in this problem.
Is it not on now because it broke, and then we just haven't?
It was unaligned by about 1.5 degrees.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big difference.
And it's on the other end on 2-1. Is that one? I don't even pay attention hardly, or I don't remember. Put it that way. Is 2-1 not operational?
I
Also?
believe that one was shut down also because of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they just would have, shot out an email to the airport at the time saying, hey, we're coming through, our staff would have been out there waiting.
So they can't be adjusted and leave that box out there for now in the meantime, or
Well,
I don't know how that works.
What's going to probably end up happening is, if everything moves smoothly, we'll have this out to bid. After the 30% design, we have 30% design, then we have the 75% design, and then this goes out. We're moving this one as quick as possible. So,
it's gonna be next
we're
year
hoping-
sometime, obviously.
Well, we're
so.
hoping that we could go out for bid, maybe before this summer.
Okay.
So essentially, we're gonna be without PAPIs the better part of 2025.
Unfortunately, it's looking like that. But once this project actually goes forward, it's gonna go a lot quicker, because all that, if we get the okay for not moving that power control unit box, then all that we have to do is change out the top part of the PAPIs, change out the power control unit box, and then, that's it. Then we just call up the FAA, say, come do your fly through.
Yeah, and how much do they charge for that?
We're hitting around 16,000.
I'm sorry,
16,000.
16 grand.
But in this case, since it's with this project, it could be reimbursed through the grants.
Okay. It's sad that I landed in Parker. They have PAPIs and they work.
Well, we'll get to them. We'll get to them. Just consider it as practice for.
Yeah, just personal airmanship work.
Yeah.
Landing challenge. Winco project, we review the 30% design. That's also in ADOT's ballpark for them to review. Once they okay that, then we're going to go through with the 75% because it's not going to be too much. And then we could go out for bid for that. We're kind of pushing for that to be this summer for the bid. ADEQ, this is something new. Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, and then United States Army Corps Engineer once a year host a FUDS program, a formerly used defense sites. It's called FUDS. They host it randomly throughout cities throughout Arizona that have FUDS programs in the area. Of course, with Kingman across Route 66 from the airport is considered a FUDS site. This year they selected us to host the FUDS program. So in February, we don't have an exact date yet, but it's early part of February. They are going to be coming out to the airport, and they are going to be giving city managers, city engineers, other environmental people throughout these cities that do have FUD programs and counties, give them an update of the processes.
This will be at the admin building, probably, at the airport? It'll be at the admin building, that
It
meeting?
will be at the admin building. It is, how could I say it is by invite?
Can we attend?
They're probably gonna run you out at some point. I'm just gonna give you a heads up because they
Okay.
even shut us out of it.
Okay.
Because it's a lot of going over disputes and other things that occur throughout the state.
Okay.
So they do have one portion where it is closed doors,
Okay.
but they do give you a little bit of heads up of, let's say, your site, where it is in the process, and the additional obstacles that need to be overcome. So, military, as you guys are aware, back in November, we had military come through, do some parachute drops at the airport from the 4th through the 8th. Apologize, we're keeping this one quiet due to the participants that were occurring, those people training. They were special forces, they were border patrol. These are the guys that go after pretty nasty people that are not scared to come inside the United States. So we did not want any pictures of them and very little information out there on them. But they did come, they did use our airport, and they did stay in our community. We did ask them for an estimated cost that they spent in the community for those amount of days. And on the low end, we're looking at $37,000. On the high end, honest with you, I'll probably push this up to about $44,000. After hearing about them finding the diamond distillery and buying a lot of alcohol there. One of them did come downtown. They did come downtown and eat in some of our restaurants. One of the guys was from the New York City area, and he just said, I am shocked in Little Kingman, Arizona. You guys probably have one of the top 10 best pizza restaurants I've ever been to in my life, and I'm from the New York area.
Nice.
So,
Pizza restaurants?
one of our pizza restaurants.
Did he tell you which one he liked?
I really don't want to upset the other pizza restaurants in our community, but they turned out, I think they went there 2 or 3 times.
Good.
So they really enjoyed it. They really enjoyed our community, and they really enjoyed the atmosphere and the pilots and everything. They want to really say thank you. They had the ability to do rapid turnarounds, and one day they managed to do 5 jumps, and they looked at me and they said, we can't even get that at a military base. It was right there on the airport. They landed, they immediately ran over, they breathed, they had another group packing their parachutes, they threw the parachutes on, and they're right back out there practicing again.
Where were they packing their chutes?
Inside the airport maintenance bay.
Okay.
So we got around $800 once we did all the breakdown out of it for the airport, for the use of the area. So the airport got some money out of it too, but majority of the money went to the community.
Good.
They are looking at doing some more of these in the future, but I told them, I said, well, I really want to avoid tying up our airspace, yet at the same time, I do want to be supportive of the military. Mm-hmm. So what they're looking at our facility for is their first initial drops. For getting a little bit more precise, one of those poor guys landed in the orchards right next to the airport. And I'm wondering how those farmers were when they looked up and they saw Green Berets running through their orchard. But they are going to practice here just to get them narrowed down, and then they move over to the Lake Havasu site for a little bit more pinpointing. So it's a big benefit, and we are working with them for possible future events.
Good. What's so much better about pinpointing in Lake Havasu? Couldn't we accommodate that?
We can, but they are aware that we do have a pilot community, and Lake Havasu is a little bit further off-site. So for us, our area, open, very little cactus.
Yeah. Far more cactus in Lake Havasu.
Yeah, far more, but they get that really, really tight area, and they just don't want to be too much of an inconvenience for our airport.
Well, the time of day that they were doing their jumps, they weren't an interference at all. They were very early in the day.
Their first jumps were targeted around 7 a.m., and their last jump was targeting for 3:30. So it was about, a jump every hour and a half.
Yeah.
Very impressive because they were dropping around 10,000 feet up, 10,000 feet plus. One group that they're discussing about in the future, maybe doing halos, where they go much higher, jump out, and they don't release their parachute till later. One group they're talking about maybe static lines. Upside with this also is because they had so many turnarounds, we did sell a lot of fuel, so the FBO got a part of it. We got our 4 cents per gallon. The community got a lot out of it, and they very much enjoyed staying in Kingman.
For a while, I thought one of the advantages of Havasu and or Bullhead was they were able to do military fuel contracts or something like that, and we couldn't do it then. Am I getting confused here? Can we do that here now with our FBO? Or
Yeah, we've always been able to.
Okay.
And a lot of those military fuel contracts were just for people flying, stopping, getting something to eat, and then getting out of there. So with Havasu having the lake for those younger guys and gals, they're just like, hey, lake nearby, let's go ahead and land here. Whereas this is more of active training with the U.S. Army,
Okay.
Marines. We saw Army, we saw Marines, we saw Canadian Special Forces with the group, we saw Border Patrol with the group. So they're bringing in a lot more than just strictly military. It's across the board.
Well, they had a Osprey here.
That wasn't theirs.
That wasn't theirs? Okay.
That was not theirs. They tried to get that group to let them do some jumps out of their Osprey, but it was the Navy out of I think San Diego. But fortunately with this group, besides the one Orchard incident, that was about it. Unlike about 2 years ago, we had the Canadian Pararescue Squad come out here, and I remember that they were actually jumping and landing inside the fence line. And one of those poor kids, that was their first pinpoint jump, and he hit the X. He was the first one to hit the X, but he didn't get control of his chute. The wind picked up a chute and drug him right over some cactus. Ooh. So he got the score, but they were giving him a hard time in the car as they were making their way over to the nearest hospital.
Welcome to Arizona.
He took it on the chin pretty well. He was not crying. He was a little bit more frustrated.
Yeah.
But if the pilot community is seeing this as being a good value, we could look at working on these a little bit more, yet at the same time trying to be as respectful to the pilots as possible.
Wow.
Hanger lights. Apologize. I know we said last year, our last meeting, we'll have this done by early winter. We kind of got behind on a few things. The guys are pushing this one forward, and we are also getting estimates around the D hangers for putting some lights up on the end of the D hangers, because we see it's kind of black, dark. Vehicles are moving around those points. There's nothing really lighting those up. So we are looking at first step, getting it on the ends of the D hangers, get some lights out there. Airfield, well, we're finally getting some new directional signs on the airfield. The yellow signs with the black lettering was faded. Yeah. So we went out there and we got some estimates in. We're waiting on the PO, but we are going to be purchasing some new signs and getting that out there. So it's now yellow and black instead of white and black.
Can you guys install those once you get them? Can you guys install those?
Yeah, it's just changing out the panels.
Okay.
That's it. So for the land release and the master development plan, we had a brief discussion with the FAA on Tuesday. One obstacle that was in the way was, give you an idea, let's say we've released the land, okay? Our environmental assessment really only covered the horizontal structures, the roads, utilities, and due to rulings, every time somebody purchased a piece of property, we would have to go through a little secondary, smaller EA for the purchase of the property. Well, FAA, our local ADA, went out and they spoke to some people, and looks like they're working with us to have an overall encompassing. So if we do sell a piece of property, as long as it's not environmentally destructive, let's say like a coal power plant or a battery manufacturer that produces a lot of chemicals, which that's water intensive, the city's looking at conserving water, then we could go through and get that done and sold without going through another minor EA. So the FAA is working with us on getting those lines drawn so they could be as accommodating for the city, because in their minds, they don't want to do little miniature EAs every single time we sell a piece of land. They just want to get this done and get this moving forward.
Do we have any land prospectively to be sold soon?
That we're still looking at, once we get the okay going through the EA, the clock starts again on that. That takes about a year for us to get through it. There's also other changes that occurred for the better for some people. I forgot which federal district courts out of Washington, D.C., but there was a group called the CEQ, Committee of Environmental Quality, and it was an advisory group. And a lot of stuff they wrote down in that advisory group was being applied like it was federal law. Mm-hmm. So they were coming up with certain things that kind of was a little bit painful on our end, some things that made it a little bit easier, but the federal judge came through and said that can no longer be used as law. CEQ's recommendations cannot be used with environmental assessments. This was done very recently, so everybody's still trying to figure out how that impacts the EAs. Hopefully it removes a lot more hurdles in the way.
Is this the same group or same, whatever that the city hired to have the consultant go in and try to expedite some of the land release stuff? Is that this same thing we're talking about?
We're talking about the Nexus group, the lobbyist group?
Yeah, that.
No, this is not within. The Nexus group is helping us out, putting some pressure on keeping our legislation, our senators and representatives up to speed, and basically telling the FAA, we got to move this forward. If you throw up too many hurdles, we're going to go the congressional route.
Yeah.
It has its pros and its cons. Sometimes the congressional route could take a lot longer than actually going through the EA. And if we go through the EA, it's a little bit more friendlier. But since these guys have been on, we've been seeing a little bit more, how can we say, friendlier, much more, a little bit more helpful.
Okay.
From beyond our ADO up above them, which is the groups that we do not speak to or have direct conversations with. Disadvantaged business enterprise goals. This is a federal requirement. If the airport receives over $250,000 of federal grants, we must establish what we call a DBE goal. So what these goals are is we hired a contractor, Taffy Pippin. She went out there and she took our potential grant programs, grant projects, the amount, what's going to be done on those projects, and then they went out into northwest Arizona, southern Nevada, central Arizona, anywhere within a reasonable distance, and they found how many women, minority-owned businesses are out there that could complete that work. And from there, they develop a goal of trying to shoot for. It's one of those where it's kind of a gray area. In Arizona, you can't hire somebody based upon race, sex, or creed inside of the state, but you need to at least make an attempt to educate these people and get them competitive and participating in our large projects. So with that, out of those projects, our goal is a little over 11.5%, 11.63% of 25 through 27 of having DBE participation. It could be electrical, it could be you just pretty much break down any project, painting, so forth, to have some type of DBE business in there. So that comes out to around 600 over the next 3 years, $685,381 dollars. We're going to push to try to get that for DBEs out of the $5,892,000.
If this is just, I guess this is like a guidance or a recommend or whatever, that's a target goal, right? So if you can't, what if you cannot find, do we get dinged somehow, or do we get?
We just submit a letter once a year. We
just
show
say
that we actively
we tried,
went out.
we couldn't find it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we actively went out there. We're trying to participate, which we had one little meeting where we tried to get that out there. We had a Chamber of Commerce there. We had some other individuals there to kind of spread the word on this. You just register with Arizona Department of Transportation. And then once you get that DBE registration with the Arizona Department of Transportation, if you go out and you bid for, let's say, a job in California as a DBE, California has to certify you as a DBE within 10 days because Arizona has already certified you. So it helps you, gives you a little bit of advantage of these federal projects.
Okay.
Did we have anybody apply that was a disadvantaged corporation?
It's not actually applying.
Oh,
We did have one person that could function as a DB role, not directly for the airport, but another task. And we kind of assisted her to the best of our ability and providing some inputs. But we are going to be, if anybody's out there and they do wish to learn more about DBE and register, please feel free to reach out to me. We'll do our best to walk them through the project. But a lot of this is focused strictly on DOT work, Department of Transportation work. And it can include engineering, environmental assessments, architectural, could include landscaping and decorating too. So, hangar occupancy wait list. Executive hangars, we have 5 occupied. We have 8 on the wait list. B and C hangars, we have 27 occupied, 5 on the wait list. The 5 on the wait list do not have aircraft.
how long can they stay on the wait list without aircraft?
We leave them on there, so if we do have a spot that opens up, we immediately start calling up the list until we find somebody who
As an
has an aircraft.
Are they saying that once I have a hangar, I will buy an airplane or something like that? Is this the conversation they're having with you?
Well, some of the stuff, like if somebody's showing that they actually are actively in the process of getting an aircraft, which they have to provide pretty substantial proof, then we're willing to bend.
Okay.
But we do give them we usually give them about anywhere from 60 to 90 days, maybe even less than that.
Okay.
Depending on how much effort or demonstration they're showing that they're about to get aircraft, and we will let them get into a hangar. But that's if we have other available hangars. Should somebody have an aircraft, they can immediately step in.
Okay.
The whole goal is to be accommodating for the pilots with aircraft.
Sure.
At the same time, not being a jerk and just pushing somebody off to the side, say, hey, I know you're actively waiting on your paperwork, but we're not going to let you get a hangar when we have 3 available. D hangar, we have 9 occupied, out of the 10, 0 on the wait list. For the financial report, this is going to be not 100% accurate, because when we did these reports, when we got this information was early December. December 15th is when everybody is supposed to pay their bills with the airport, so it's going to be a little bit skewed. Out of the revenue so far for this year, we've had $756,225. Expenses, we spent $661,906. For the revenue breakdown, over $687,000 for the airport, and then we got almost $69,000 for the industrial part. For the expenses, we've already went through 32% of our operations and maintenance budget of $648,706. And then for the industrial park, we've only been through 17% of our budget, $13,200. For the actual cash reserve for the airport, this is what we have in our bank account. We have $2,879,735. This does not include the money coming back from the Dross project.
So that'll go up by close to $1 million.
That's what we're estimating right now. It's close to $1 million. Please keep in mind, we did spend a lot of money on the Dross project and other large projects that we're currently undergoing. So there's, especially with the lobbyists and other events and this development coming around the corner, even though we're going to get reimbursed for this developer back through the actual developer, some of the stuff the city does have to pay for, such as our attorney fees and so forth, for negotiating these contracts.
And these numbers already reflect the money the airport paid for the Dross project?
No, this is not reflecting the money that we're going to get back from the Dross project.
But you've already paid it out, like this money's out of these numbers.
Yeah, well,
and you'll
right
get it
now,
back.
that project, all that money that was tied up with the project is is actually labeled as encumbered until we close out the project.
Okay.
So this is it. This is our fuel report. You can kind of take a look at this, and this I'll say in the upside of the fuel. We have seen a pretty mass jump in fuel sales for this year so far. If you just look at the 4 months, let's say for July, we had 17,000 last year sold, 17,000 gallons. We jumped up to 31,000.
Yeah.
14,000 in August. We've jumped up to
38.
almost into the 40,000. So you've seen a significant increase due to our fuel costs being very competitive.
Great.
And that is the end of the report. Does anybody have any questions?
Good report. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Doug.
Okay, next item on our agenda is announcements from commission members. We usually start from inside the house here, but we're going to start with Brandon. Do you have anything to add? Anything to report? Jim Larimore, do you have anything to report?
No, nothing from me.
Okay. Commissioner Stutzman, do you have anything to report?
That's negative for me. Hopefully next meeting I can be there in person.
Hope so. Commissioner Beller, do you have anything to add?
No, not this meeting.
Vice Chairman?
Just like to say that hopefully in January, when it should get a meeting with you and the manager regarding, Mr. Walsh, regarding having our nonprofit museum group give a nice little presentation, short but nice presentation to the city council. So we'll let you guys know through email, whatever, if you wanted to attend or log in to the YouTube channel and watch our presentation that we give. So hopefully January, right? We'll work on that anyway.
Yeah, I was going to speak to you off to the side on that.
Okay, all right, gotcha, okay, thank you.
I can report that the Experimental Aircraft Association did a Young Eagles rally in Bullhead. We were invited to the Bullhead, or actually the Laughlin Bullhead International Airport to do a Young Eagles rally, which we did back on the 16th of November. And they liked it so much that they covered our fuel cost, which they normally do. And there's going to be a community, well, the Emmanuel Christian Academy has reached out and they want to do a field trip to the airport where we will talk to the kids about aviation careers and tell them a little bit about what makes airplanes fly and how the pilot controls the aircraft on the ground and in the air, and then take them for an airplane ride. And that's going to be in February. So those things are going on here in Kingman. Other than that, I guess we don't have anything else to discuss. Do we have any requests for future things to be discussed? Anyone? I guess they think you're doing a good job.
Well, Chair Aaron Spoker, just letting everybody know, there is a possibility that we could be hosting a special session in January for that ALP. I just wanted to get that across because we're trying to move this development forward. We're trying to be fast, but at the same time, not, how can I say, rushed, because we don't want to make any mistakes on this. And it is going to be complex, but I do want to get the layout plan because whatever we negotiate with the contract and with the layout plan, that has to go to FAA for their approval also, before it goes to council for their,
So would it go to them first or go to the commission first?
well, the ALP update, we'll be bringing that to you guys first.
And that would be here?
That will be here.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to it. So, okay, nothing else on the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried.